Hello and welcome to another high-octane episode of Full Throttle, the motoring and transport show from the Alliance of British Drivers here on Unprecedented TV. I'm Paul Naylor and I'm flying solo again this week while my usual co-pilot, well, he's the pilot really, isn't he? Brian Gregory is bravely holding the front line somewhere on a beach in Tenerife. Now, I've heard the weather's not too good, so fingers crossed the reports I'm hearing are wrong and it's actually a lot warmer than they say. Fingers crossed, Bri. We want you to come back with a tan. We wish him well, obviously. So coming up today, we've got fuel prices on the climb again, with petrol and diesel now hitting a 3-year high at the pumps. Volkswagen is planning to axe up to 50,000 jobs in Germany as the pressure on Europe's car industry grows. And after the soaking start to 2026, potholes are multiplying across Britain's roads, leaving drivers to pick up the repair bills. We'll also look at new pollution crackdowns that could see petrol and diesel drivers facing fines of up to £1,000, the eye-watering cost of Britain's transition to green energy, and why public support for net zero appears to be cooling. I like that. Plus a fascinating development in clean technology that turns CO2 into methanol, and Wales' latest plans to mandate solar panels or other renewable energy requirements for new homes and commercial buildings. So there's a lot to get through. It's more of a newsy kind of feel this time. So let's buckle up. This is Full Throttle. So first up, the headline has got to be about fuel. Now, I've been trawling the wonderful world of the interweb to find some great stories that we can talk about. And of course, the fuel one is right up there. So Fleet News reports that the fuel costs are spiking due to oil prices rising past $100 a barrel. Yep, we've been there before, folks, but it's been a while. Probably been 3 or 4 years since we've been past $100 a barrel, and that was obviously down to the troubles in Ukraine. This time, it's due to the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, which is near Iran. And the average cost at UK pumps has risen to £1.37.5 for unleaded a litre on average, and 1.51.5 for diesel. And if the price per barrel remains this high, unleaded could go to £1.50 rapidly, with diesel almost £1.80 a litre. Now, obviously, the problems for this, it's not just for us, the drivers, the people that get from A to B and need to go about their daily business, be it to get to work or to go and see loved ones, hospital appointments, travel, just sort of, for pleasure. It's not just that. It's obviously the commercial implications. Friend of the channel, Howard Cox, who runs Fair Fuel UK, will happily talk to you for hours about the implications of any price rises at the pump. The first thing that you will hear from is truck drivers, and every penny that goes onto a litre, if that pushes up the fuel bill for haulage, then it pushes up the cost at supermarkets for products, the cost of everything, because everything's got to be transported. Until we can beam things around like they do in Blake 7 or Star Trek, we're going to have to transport things around. So the costs can rapidly escalate in line with any increases at the pump. So it's worrying times. Hopefully, we are going to see the price per barrel go down rather than be sustained beyond the $100 mark. But indeed, until we can beam me up, Scotty, as I've been nudged, then we're stuck with transporting things around the country. So what are your thoughts? We always love to hear from you. So get in touch with us. Go online, go to abd.org.uk and contact us from there and give us your thoughts, because we would love to start a dialect with you. Okay, so that's the headline news. Now, the BBC have been reporting on Volkswagen over in Germany are looking to axe 50,000 jobs in Germany by 2030. Now, obviously, some of the reasons around this are based on US import tariffs, the intense competition from China, And of course, you've guessed it, the restructuring costs that all these motoring manufacturers are being having laid in front of them to convert to EV manufacturing. Now, we have reported previously about the impact of these electrification of vehicles and the production of them being problematic for Ford and General Motors over in the States. So you add into the mix the tariffs that have been imposed by Donald, well, then you've got an extra recipe for problems. Volkswagen figures are thus, okay? So the net profit fell in 2025 from 12.4 billion euros in the previous year to 6.9 billion euros. So, you know, that's almost 50% down. It's a high 40% down. That's not sustainable. And this is the problem that we've reported for Ford, where over a 3 or 4 year period, the profits were plummeting. Basically, people, as much as they might think that electric vehicles look like a quirky idea, they shouldn't be made mandatory. The fact that manufacturers are having to completely rethink how they're going to produce vehicles, frankly, it's just government ideology over common sense. People still want to use internal combustion engine cars. They still want to be able to buy them, and they still want to be able to have that choice. If somebody wants to choose to buy an electric vehicle, let them choose to buy an electric vehicle. But it shouldn't be mandatory, and it shouldn't become the end of internal combustion engine production and potentially the obliteration of decades of motoring manufacturing. All the big names that we know and love and respect could disappear, and there is intense competition coming from China. We're all familiar now with seeing BYD cars out on the road, and there's other brands being advertised at the moment. Some vehicles that look very, very similar to what you would get from Range Rover, badged completely differently. But you know, you can tell what they're trying to use as the template for these vehicles, and these are basically mobile phones on wheels, aren't they? As a journalist, I would regularly help out the motoring journalist at the newspapers that I worked at, and one of the first cars that I got to test drive was a Nissan Leaf. Now, arguably, it was a long time ago, but that thing had a range of about 90 miles on a good day. And then once you started putting the heater on, and the windscreen wipers, and your stereo on, you know, you were just looking at that battery plummeting like you would when you were looking at your phone, when you were sat in a pub thinking, am I going to be able to contact anybody? My battery's running out. So these Chinese models that are coming over here and are being sold at a very competitive price. Once they saturate the market, just be careful, folks. That's all I'll say. Okay. Otherwise, in the news, we've had a report from the RAC regarding potholes. Oh, yes. A familiar peril for readers of Driving Sense and people who connect with the Alliance of British Drivers. Potholes have been particularly a peril this winter. Roads have been eroded over the last 12 months, even further than they were previously. And because we've had such a wet winter, when these potholes fill up, it's very difficult to tell when you're driving along where the potholes are. Are they there? Are they not there? As a result, more vehicles are tumbling into these potholes, buckling their wheels, causing all sorts of damage to their cars. The RAC has reported some very sort of sobering figures here. If I can just find these for you. So for the whole of February 2025, there were 1,842 reports to the RAC of vehicles damaged due to potholes. For the same month this year, that figure, yeah, you might expect it might double because of how the roads are. That's actually gone up to 6,290. So that is a whopping leap. That's kind of getting on for 3 times what it was this time last year. So, well, the message is clear. Get these roads fixed. Cars are expensive these days. You can't go out and buy yourself a brand new car for about £12,000 these days. The last thing you want to do is be continually buying alloy wheels and replacing those because somebody hasn't maintained the surface that you're driving on. So that's a big shout out from the Alliance of British Drivers. Please get the roads fixed. Local authorities, governments, whoever needs to look after these things, please, please, please get them sorted out. Because this isn't just going to impact, internal combustion engine cars. This is for your electric vehicles too. So, don't go saying, oh, well, you shouldn't be driving around in this car. It affects us all. And I suspect, and many people that I speak to suspect, that the reason these aren't being fixed is simple. Twofold. Cost, saves them money if they don't fix them, but also they want us off the roads anyway. So by not fixing them, it's a bit like sort of charging you more at a car park. It's a bit more like having CAS, LES and ULEZ zones. It's just another way of getting you off the road. And talking of CAS, LES and ULEZ zones, Birmingham Live has been reporting about a crackdown on emissions in the city. So this impacts not only Birmingham, but other areas around the country, particularly, big cities like London, Manchester, etc., where these sort of zones have popped up. And what they're looking to do now is if you travel into those zones in a vehicle that they deem to be highly polluting, and they'll probably have a list, then you could be fined up to £1,000 for your trouble. Like I said with the previous report, it's all about keeping you off the road and doing things the way they want you to do it. And it's all pointing towards what we talked about in the previous show, which was these 15 and 20-minute cities. They're trying to encourage people not to travel around like they used to. They want people to work and live within what they deem to be an acceptable commutable distance. Now, personally, and I know lots of people that did this, back in the mid to late 90s, I was working at a newspaper in Shropshire, which is where I lived, and I was probably about 15, maybe 20 minutes between home and work. But to climb the greasy pole of success, I had to go looking for a job in the sister newspaper, the Express and Star, based in Wolverhampton. Now, for me, that was a good 45-minute drive there. And, there and back, 45 minutes, depending on traffic, sometimes a little bit quicker than that, sometimes a little bit longer. But as an average, 45 minutes. Under this notion that they've come up with of people being able to live and work within 15 to 20 minutes of their job, that would never have happened. And as a result, I would have probably still been doing the same thing that I was doing then as I'm doing now, because it would have been less opportunity for progression, less opportunity to stretch my wings and sort of learn new skills. It's an absolute nightmare for people out there. It's dumbing people down. It's a lack of choice. It's telling people what to do and telling them what to think rather than how to think. And we've spoke about this before. We've got all sorts of issues going on with schools. But again, you can guarantee that they'll be teaching kids at school, you want to go looking for careers on your doorstep rather than sort of like that the world's no longer your oyster. It's more like the world's your lobster now, which is what Del Boy used to say. CAS zones, LES zones, and ULEZ zones. Be careful if you drive into those. Check that your car or van meets the requirements to be in those zones. Otherwise, you could be facing hefty fines. The Telegraph has reported that, now this is a nice one, £125 billion. What does that sound like to you? What do you think that's gone on? That's been spent on green energy, and that's the total by 2029, 125 billion. That's 15 billion in 2025, rising to 30 billion by 2029. So cumulatively 125 billion, and you can guarantee plus, because they never get these figures right. It's only an estimate, Gov. So obviously the worrying thing about this is that this is Ed Miliband having his way, and I feel deflated just thinking about it. Basically, this is being done for no real reason. This green agenda, and you can read all about it in different products that we produce at the Alliance of British Drivers. The green agenda is an ideology rather than a reality. It's CO2 is not the big enemy that people keep making it out to be, and the more people that start to listen and realize this, then the better it's going to be for everybody. And that kind of links into our next story, which is that the support for the UK net zero urgency has declined to 29% this year, when it was around 54% in 2021. So why is this ideology fading? Well, people are finally waking up and realizing that, first and foremost, people look after their own interests, and that's just a natural thing to do. And they're realizing that the cost of it is completely prohibitive, even if it was, necessary, even if it was something that we needed to do. The fact of the matter is that CO2 isn't the enemy that we're being told that it is. We are, as a people, we are not creating significant amounts of CO2 that are creating issues around the world. And even if we were, the fact that the UK produces such a tiny, tiny proportion worldwide, and somehow wants to be, the leader in going down this net zero route, when there's huge countries like America, China, Pakistan, India, the list goes on, Russia, that aren't on board with this. I mean, we've all seen Donald Trump talking about this and saying, it's a load of nonsense. Now, I'm not particularly a massive fan of Donald Trump. There's a lot of things he does wrong. But on this one, he's right. This is an ideology that we're being told is scientifically correct when it's not. It really isn't. And there's science out there that backs that up, to the contrary. And unfortunately, it's being quashed. And anybody that tries to get the message out there is being quashed along with it. So we do our best. We do our best to inform. 125 billion. Just think what that could have gone on. We could have given more than Chagos Islands back. We could have given 2 or 3 islands. We could have given Scotland back. Hey, there you go. Kidding. But I mean, that just goes to show what a ridiculous idea that the whole Chagos thing is. If we're facing a bill of 125 billion, in addition to whatever the billions were that were involved in the Chagos Island deal, then I'm afraid as a country, we're just... If the nation were accountants working with zero software, then they would be questioning what was going through the books. That's all I'd say. Right. Now, like I say, the support for net zero has declined. And in fact, SciTech Daily has reported that a new catalyst is now available that converts CO2 into methanol. So even if it were a problem, there is now this converter that is a breakthrough by ETH Zurich. And what it does is it converts CO2 to methanol, which is the building block for thousands of everyday products, ranging from plastics and paints to life-saving medicines. So not only is it a cure for the CO2 problem that doesn't actually exist, but also by being able to create methanol in a fairly simple process. I'm sure there's a bit more to it than I think, but in a process that could be readily available within the next 10 to 15 years, well then surely then that's something that should be explored, particularly in the wake of plastics, paints, and life-saving medicines being otherwise available. So anything that we can do to carry on producing those should be fully supported. What are your thoughts on any of these, folks? I mean, if get in touch with us, abd.org.uk, and if you're not already a member, get on there, sign up. You're looking at £30 a year to support the cause, or £45, and with the £45 offering, you will also receive 4 times a year a printed copy of Driving Sense Extra. And Driving Sense Extra is packed full of motoring stories and the counter argument against green ideology. So it's well worth a read. And if you, like us, feel that we're being sold a pup, then you need to get on board and just join the fight. Woo, woo, woo. Business Green is reporting that, and now you like this, particularly if you live over the border in Wales. Like I say, I was originally from Shropshire and I bordered Wales. Wales is set to make it mandatory for new builds, homes and commercial, to have solar panels or similar renewables starting from March next year. Now, this is likely to obviously add thousands to the cost of a new home. I think, if I remember correctly, the figures I saw were it will add probably on average £3,500 to £5,000 for new builds. Obviously, when you're retrofitting that sort of technology, it costs a bit more, but still, to have to have the mandatory requirement to buy those products, even if you don't want them, and then face a cost for it, it's a little bit of an ask, isn't it? So that's something to watch out for in Wales. If you're thinking of buying a new house in the next, in the next year or so, get it quick, get one there, because by this time next year, you're going to be looking at having all sorts of renewables on there. Now, in the article, it doesn't actually state pure and simple that it will be solar panels, but we think that that's most likely to be the case because that's the easiest type of renewable that you can put with a property. But obviously, it's going to come down to heat pumps and who knows, maybe even a great big windmill in your back garden. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? It doubles up as something to dry your clothes on as well. And on a really hot day, it can fan you as well. So, it's what a bonus. But another strange idea coming from an increasingly woke management system. I do quite often wonder where we're going as a country. There's people that have become who have got roles of significant power in different areas, be it schooling or the government, policing, the entertainment industry, that have got a very fixed idea about how people should think. And it's so wrong. We are throwing away our civil liberties. We are throwing away our right to opinion, our right to express ourselves the way that we want to express ourselves. And I'm sure it's kind of come full circle, because I think the whole idea originally was that to express yourself was now what has become the norm. And what was the norm is now something where people are actually saying, can we not express our thoughts and feelings based on that, rather than that being the alternative ideology now? I know what I mean. I'm sure you get what I mean. So it's kind of been flipped on its head. So if you are sort of left-leaning, then, be careful what you want, because sometimes you might get it. And I've got a feeling that we're going down that route rapidly. And it's not something that I think will be good for the country, it won't be good for people. I don't think it's been very good for people at all already. I think a lot of the mental health issues that are going on out there can, in many ways, be attributed to the way that we're leading our lives these days. And that's not just the way technology is advanced, but also the fact that we're being taught what to think rather than how to think. And I think that needs to be reversed pretty pronto. That's just my ramblings, but welcome to Inside My Head. So if you've got any thoughts on anything that we've discussed here today, please get in touch. You can get in touch with us through abd.org.uk. You can email me direct, paul@mediaandyou.co.uk. If you've got any article suggestions for Driving Sense magazine, please send them through to us, particularly if you're a member of the Alliance of British Drivers. We would love to hear from you. And if you're considering that the things that are going on around you are making you want to scream, if you're not happy with your road surfaces, if you're not happy that you're being forced into driving an electric vehicle when you're more than happy to carry on in a petrol or diesel, then welcome to the Alliance of British Drivers. We're all trying to fight that battle and trying to regain some common sense. And that's basically what it is. It's common sense. It's nothing radical that we're trying to spout. We just want some common sense and money being spent by governments the way that money should be spent on infrastructure rather than some sixth form student ideology, basically. So anyway, reasonably short show today. Flying solo. It's not as easy as you think. And look forward to Brian being back with me for the next show, which we will record next week. And until then, goodbye for now. Safe travels. Be careful out there and mind those potholes. Bye for now.